For what it's worth, this is something that really doesn't happen very often, but something got under Scump's skin. I don't know what it was, but recently, as of today, he started to go off on quite a few things about streams, about what's going on with Black Ops Cold War, what's happening with the CDL and some of the decisions that they're making. All of that we're going to get into, and the first storyline that I want to talk about is this one. So he goes on to say, I haven't spoken of this publicly really, but I was fined for playing Raid Shadow League Legends during a sponsored stream. It was during the off season as well, which makes it worse. My channels are my channels. I should be able to do what I please, but apparently I can't. So this is one of the craziest things that I've heard in whole. Like he mentioned in the tweet, his channels are his channels. I could see, and somebody has made this point, I don't know if it was on Reddit or I'm not sure where exactly I saw this, but somebody made the point that maybe possibly you could see if it was in season and he was doing like a sponsored Overwatch League stream or something that competes alongside the CDL, but literally none of that is true. If it's in the off season, he has nothing else going on. Why can't he make money for publicly going out and promoting a game? And even this Raid Shadow Legends, it's a mobile game, so it doesn't affect the CDL whatsoever. It's not even during the league. It's not like he's doing it the same time that scrims are going on, so he's taking exposure away from the league. As a whole, I just don't really understand it. In some replies to this, remember, we have two more stories to talk about here, but Hitch brings up a good point. He says, based on experience, the same people that hand out these bans are going to be bewildered when viewership drops 30% once you retire. Some people get it, a lot don't. So this is a great point, and it's one that I'm sure a ton of people understand, but if Scump was to retire, there's a reason why when Chicago gets into the semifinals, or when they're playing with a chance to make it to Championship Sunday, whether it be in a normal tournament or at the end of the year like we saw in Modern Warfare at Champs, when Chicago's there, a lot of the pull of the league comes from people like Scump and like Formal and some of the big personalities. The younger players that are, and it's has nothing to do with them and how they act and whatever, but a lot of the younger players don't have the following yet. I think Envoy might be on his way, but you don't really see much in terms of Simp. You don't see the interaction with people that follow him and stuff like that. And it's not a knock on him. It's just he's a different person, right? So when you start to see some of these pros start to retire, what's going to happen with overall viewership when all of a sudden, crap, we don't have Scump, we don't have Formal, we don't have these guys that draw in all the viewership there anymore. If we go into the replies of this, which I thought it was interesting to see, Ake says likely more than 30%, but yeah, so interesting to see Ake's here and that he kind of gets it, right? There's been a lot of times where those two have been at odds, whether it be dating back to the first stint in Optic or whatever, but a lot of people see that, you know, a lot of the viewership that's happening in Call of Duty is based around personalities and what those personalities bring to the table. Now, second story of the day, this was tweeted just a little bit after this. Scump goes on to say, the CDL also made us sign a player contract in front of them without allowing us to run it by our lawyers at the player summit. It was a sign it now or you can't play at Minnesota type exchange. I'm probably going to get fined for this too, but just letting you all know. So I'm not quite sure what's going on here because he was just on the Eavesdrop podcast not all that long ago talking about how like you could just, he was gun shy, right? He didn't really quite want to say things. He didn't want to face those fines. I don't know if he finally has, you know, like Hex or NRG came out and said, you know what, lay it out there, try to make some change, we'll cover your fines. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but this is kind of an interesting move that while everybody's at Minnesota, they would say sign this or it is what it is, you can't play. Now in response to this one has a ton of replies. Here's one from Mercs that says, good for you, speak on it. That's the only way it'll change for the better. And then he goes on to say, Nick, they're doing us dirty and most are scared to speak out at all because they're going to fine us. It's made me question continuing to compete. If I'm the CDL and I'm the league offices, this is one where I think, all right, we need to reevaluate what we're doing here because, again, we just talked about him and the possibility that he retires. If Scump retires, he's just going to become a full-time streamer. He's going to make probably a lot more money doing that. Imagine the viewership he would get just full-time streaming on Twitch or YouTube or wherever. I mean, his numbers would be through the roof. They already are through the roof. And he doesn't even really do it all that often in terms of, now he does stream scrims and stuff like that, but in terms of just being there to entertain, that's not really what his channel's about. So if he was to do something like that, the league would be in serious trouble. There are a couple more replies throughout this, but one other thing, and this happened earlier. This was earlier on in the day. He goes on to say, how does Call of Duty not get released with a ranked playlist every year? I'm just genuinely confused. It should be a staple, but it gets ignored. Interesting to think about. To which Vonderhaar, and this is quite a lengthy exchange here, but David Vonderhaar goes on to say, obviously a longtime developer. He's kind of the face of Treyarch, who is the studio that developed this year's Black Ops Cold War. He says, let me rewrite that for you. You can thank me later. I'm really looking thankful for all the hard-working men and women trying to give us a ranked playlist, to which Scump kind of backs off a little bit. I won't lie. He goes on to say, Vaughn, you know I love you first of all, and of course, I'm grateful you guys pulled through at all during these times. It was more of a general thought to any game made. You always deliver, and I speak highly of your studio all the time. To which Vaughn says, my crew will deliver. We are on your side. Be good to us. To which Scump says, we know you will. I meant no ill will towards you or your colleagues. In Vaughn, we trust. So Scump did kind of pull back from this initial tweet, maybe just a little bit. But as somebody who is just all around the competitive scene, I completely agree. I have already entered the first prestige in playing scrims or playing pubs in Black Ops Cold War. And I'm kind of getting to that point where it's fun. I've been having a ton of fun just playing pubs, but it gets to a point where, okay, I kind of want to be challenged now. So where's the ranked playlist so I can go in and work my way up, silver, gold, platinum, or somewhere around there. Last thing that I want to touch on real quick, and this isn't related to Scump whatsoever, but I do want to point out that I'm not sure. I get that these development teams are probably just pushed to the absolute limits, but if I'm Treyarch or Activision, I'm not sure why there aren't skins in the store, why there's not a battle pass right now. And even if it comes out when season 1 starts, I get that it's going to start here in a few weeks, but on launch, think of how many more people would be buying skins and gun skins and new characters and the battle pass if it was available right now. I can tell you that if it doesn't come out for 2 or 3 weeks, I don't know, maybe I'll still have quite a bit of interest in grinding pubs. But if those skins were available right now, I probably would have already spent $40-50 just on the battle pass and skins and make my character look better, because right now you only have like 2 or 3 operators to choose from on either side. So there's really not all that out there. So I get that there are a ton of challenges, especially in this setting right now in a global pandemic that the world is in. But I feel like there might be a little bit of a missed opportunity. But that's on a side note. It's just something that I've been thinking about throughout the weekend. So down in the comments below, this is one of those videos. Let me know what you're thinking about what Scump is saying here, what he's coming to light with. I think a lot of these points are ones that are really well made. I'll be interested again. I don't think it would come out publicly, but if there is some sort of response from the CDL, hopefully he doesn't get fined. Hopefully they can come together and work towards these issues and a solution, but we'll see what happens. So if you're new around here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, leave a like. It always helps out the channel. Thank you guys so much. I hope you're enjoying Black Ops Cold War. And with that, we will see you in tomorrow's upload.